Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to your early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Banya Nussbaum here with some words of wisdom, and today some rather provocative thoughts to give you something to think about and to talk about and to converse with others. Spread the word. Let's see what comes up. Good morning, Nancy. Welcome. You're the first one popping on today. Glad you are here. And I have an interesting little flow for today, I think. So we'll give it a minute for everyone to pop on, and then we'll launch into this little odyssey that began playing itself out for me this morning. Good morning, Angie. Glad you're here. Welcome. And this is such an interesting thing. I'm reading a book called Fairy Tales, F-A-E-R-Y, Fairy Tales. And the woman who wrote it, Signe Pike, was basically saying that her life was a successful life, but it was kind of draining her of energy, that she needed the magic, she needed the awe, the wonder that she had had as a kid. And so she went on a search for that through a search for fairies. Who had seen fairies? Are fairies even real? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm kind of in the middle of the book, and that sort of laid some groundwork for today's reading, which is actually coming out of a book. And for those of you who have ordered it since I've begun talking about it, it's The Bringers of the Dawn book by Barbara Marciniak. And what I'm going to read out of the book is actually in service of some other things that began coming together that I'm looking at, and then I read about it in the book, and I'm like, oh, isn't that interesting? Good morning, Carolyn. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I want to put some context to this before reading it, because some of you are going to hear the words and the way she wrote them and write it off. Oh, that's that weird out there kind of stuff. But I want to give you some context. This was written or published in 1992, and I want you to notice what she's predicting is going to happen and what's going on in America right now. It kind of makes me smile. Like this was predicted. This was predicted. And therefore, we can hopefully take some solace in what she says this is about. And it's not her. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you're here. This is channeled information. So it's the entities that she's channeling who are putting this forward. In this case, the Pleiadians. But I also wanted to go back to the series of cards that picked me when I got back from my trip from Iceland. And there were actually 5 cards. Maybe I'll show you all of them. And I'm going to save those 2 for last. So there was Island, Solitude. Iceland's an island. There was Mountain, very mountainous, Strength. There was Waterfall. There were a bazillion waterfalls. Effortless. And then the 2 that I think speak to me the most right now. Good morning, Joe Neal, and I think I saw Barb slip past. Yeah. Iceberg, submerged, what's hidden, what don't we see, and volcano, volatility. And in case you haven't been aware, we've had some volcanic disruptions going on. Iceland had one a month or so ago, and there was just one that they feel was set off by the earthquake that created the tsunamis. Also maybe set off this volcano erupting, which had not erupted for 400 years, I believe. So interesting things going on, and interesting things making sense if you're willing to look beyond just what your physical senses can see. And I know there are going to be people, well, Bonnie, you're getting into conspiracy theories, blah, blah, blah. What I'm hoping is what I read today, you can hear it with an open ear, your intuitive ear, and decide for yourself. Decide for yourself. If you think it's all hooey, absolutely fine. If you think there's something here that makes sense to you and helps make sense of what's going on in our world, fabulous. And I titled this one Vibration Management, and that's a term that my friend Kailean Welsh came up with the other day when I was Zooming with her. Vibration management. So this is beyond just mind management, emotional management, resource management, blah, blah, blah. This is vibration management. So in that light, first of all, let's take a breath. Let it go. I was doing some deep breathing before I got up today. Nice deep breath in. Let it go. And I was aware of just how much more air I could take in when I was paying attention to breathing deeply. In through the nose, out through the mouth. So as I'm reading this passage, it's, I don't know, maybe 6 paragraphs. Listen with the intuitive part of yourself. Breathe yourself open. Stay present. Allow, allow, allow. For those of you who have the book, this is on page 88. My favorite number. Twice. Gotta love it. So, I'm just going to start reading, and if things move me as I'm reading to add my 2 cents, I will. Breathe. You have come to alter and remove the frequency of limitation and to bring in the frequency of information. When you are informed, you move beyond the need to be in fear. Let me repeat that. When you are informed, you move beyond the need to be in fear. When you feel uninformed and out of control, you do not understand the bigger picture. We need some meaningful pauses here. Each of you came to awaken something inside yourself, inside the coding of your being, the DNA, and you are responding to it. This is why you are on a search in all directions of your life. How many of us feel that yearning? Like there's something missing here. There's something more. What do I not know that I need to know? Etc., etc., etc. And our research is catching up. And isn't it interesting? One of the things being shut down now is research. But our research is catching up. They've talked about our ability to modify our DNA, and that things that happen to ancestors can be carried down in the DNA. We already know that. What more would we know if research were going to continue to be funded at the rate that it was, or more, or more? Okay, you and multitudes of others have begun the mutation process on the planet. Now, that word probably freaks some people out, mutation. All that means is change. All that means is change, okay? As you mutate or change electromagnetically, you alter your frequency or the tune that you broadcast. Think about that even on a simple level. If you adjust your attitude, and you go from being pissy and crabby to being, do people around you not react differently? Yes. So this is just the next iteration of that same kind of a process. You will eventually outgrow the frequency that holds you down and continually blasts you with chaos and confusion. And I will tell you that they make the case for why we need to be using less electronics as opposed to more electronics. It is a classic vehicle for manipulating human beings, human thought, human beliefs, etc., etc. How much of the us versus them stuff comes through electronics? Eventually, when you alter, carry, and maintain your own frequency, you will vibrate differently and thus affect everyone around you. They will feel the availability of this frequency alteration, which will then move like a wave around the planet. The 100th monkey idea. we're going to get to that tipping point where enough people are vibrating at a higher level that everybody levels up. As the planet accepts this new frequency that you have worked very hard to obtain, those at the end of the domino chain will receive it. This new frequency is called knowledge, light, and information. What are they most trying to control right now? Knowledge, light, and information. Defund all of the things that are showing us a bigger reality. It is called being taken out of bondage. You are being taken out of disinformation and misinformation, and you are being informed. You are coming into the light. This was written in 1992, you guys. 1992. As each of you has been assigned to become informed and to bring about a frequency alteration on this planet, you must learn to become keepers of frequency. Vibrational management, right here. This is what it's saying. You must rise to a certain place of knowledge and consistently stay there. Vibration management. You must become in command of your body so that you can will it into stillness or into activity. You must be able to go inside yourself and heal what needs to be healed emotionally and physically. And I'm going to add mentally and spiritually. This is our proving ground within ourselves. Within ourselves. How many times have you heard, if you want to change the world, change yourself? Ding, 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 ding. You must begin to part the jungle of self and find the clearing so that you can show others the way. Find the clearing. How much have we been talking about that? The open field, the space, the discomfort of being there, but our willingness to be there nonetheless. That's where this is going to happen. That's where this is happening. It's already in process. It's already in process. And some of the things that I'm going to read here are probably going to scare you a bit. Remember, we're stepping away from fear. We're stepping out of fear. We're doing the things that need to be done regardless, all right? Sometimes you will show others the way not by speaking to them, but just by maintaining, living, and working on your own frequency and having the courage to do this. There's the word, courage. So this is about stepping away from the fear. Does this mean you're going to be fearless? No. It means you're going to have some fears, but you're going to move forward with courage anyway. As systems busters and potential keepers of frequency, you will obviously go into the areas where your specialties are most needed. Many of the beings who have incarnated as members of the family of light came to the United States because this is the land where you can make the most progress. This also happens to be the land where denial is pervasive. La 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 la. There's a whole lot of that going on. It's getting to the point where it's breaking down though. It's very hard to do la 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 when this stuff is unfolding right at your feet. Okay? You believe that you live in a land of the free and the home of the brave, yet you live in the most controlled experimental society on the planet. The tyranny that has been set up here is rather interesting because it is a tyranny without walls. Although now we're building walls. Nonetheless, I digress. As a country and a collective consciousness, the United States still has not reached an awareness that something is not right. Something is not right. Something is not right. The environment of the United States is actually much more controlled than that of the former Soviet Union, where the control was obvious. Because everyone is so frightened of giving up the system in the United States, they are going to be forced to give it up. The system is corrupt. It does not work. It does not honor life, and it does not honor Earth. That is the bottom line. This is from 1992. If something does not honor life and does not honor earth, you can bet it is going to fall, and it is going to fall big time. Consciousness must change. This is part of the divine plan, and this opportunity and setup are not going to be missed. There has been an over-involvement in the material world and a complete lack of understanding of the non-physical world that exists all around you, so that there will be a reprioritizing of what comes first in life. Breathe. People will stand up once they have lost everything, who had never thought of standing up when they owned everything. So as the stuff is stripped away, people will begin to mobilize more and more. People will awaken to the incredible potential of themselves. Pretty powerful stuff, right? And you may say, well, that's a 40-year-old book, blah, 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 or 30, whatever the heck it is. Yes, but think about 30 years. In the span of a planet, 30 years is a drop in the pan. So look ahead to 30 years. These systems will have fallen apart. New systems will have arisen. People will be standing in a higher vibration. That vibration will be self-managed. The mind control will be, if not totally dismantled, at least observable. People will be aware of it. People will be talking about it. People will be actively resisting it. So this is, how do we go on? How do we move with the flow? And there will be those people, I'm not going to be one of them, who actively resist the stuff that's keeping us trapped. But there will be the other people, I am one of them, who's going to be pouring my energy into what instead? What does this look like beyond that? As that is dismantled, as it falls into ruin, as it moves into being recycled to be used in a better way, what arises? How do I feed that? What does it look like? What do we want this new world to look like? So, vibration management, that's the piece I'd like you to take away from this. This is going to be an inside job. How do we grow ourselves? How do we free ourselves? So, one of the things can be social media management. What are you, and another piece that came into alignment with all of this, there are the guys that talk about simplifying your life, and they oftentimes do vlogs about things they're observing that need to be simplified. They were talking about this yesterday as well. They had a new vlog post that was out, and it was basically about scrolling being the new smoking. I thought that was an interesting way to put it. How do we move ourselves into recovery from our over-attachment to devices? How do we move ourselves into recovery from over-attachment to devices? One thing is, go back to books. Go back to books. Simple little step. So, take a breath. Let it go. I'd love to hear what's sticking with you the most out of what I read. What is bothering you the most, what scares you, because that's where your greatest opportunities lie, or what piece of this, maybe it's the term vibration management, maybe it's the concept that this has been going on for quite some time. Maybe it's the iceberg submerged, now moving into the volcano erupting volatility that struck you. But put in the feed some of the things that struck you out of today's reading, because this is where we're going, folks. This is where we're going. And we can, in the famous words of the Jungian analyst who was treating Marion Woodman, you can either stand up with, no, I think it was the other way. You can go squealing like a pig to slaughter, or you can stand up with some modicum of grace and walk. Yes, put the time into yourself that you put into others. And I will say, put even more time into yourself than you do others, because then the self that you present to others is going to be of such a higher vibration and of so much more usefulness to them as you share that higher vibrational self that we all are. We all are. We've got it within us. So that's it for today. That's quite the interesting load, isn't it? But we will get better and better at carrying it. Have an awesome day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.